Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. It's time for a new series review! And this time, man, I sure am excited. I've been a big Joe Kappa fan for a couple years now, and every time something weird pops up on my timeline, I can usually bet it's either Meat Canyon or the Capster. A master of short, weird comedy, he would have several Adult Swim smalls focused around all kinds of different jokes. Giant-headed boy bands, weird dance recitals, but one stood out more than the rest. A family of weird brothers being haunted by the ghost of their dead mom. So, when Adult Swim announced that they had greenlit a whole series based around the premise, I knew we were in for a treat. Ha ha, you clowns is a lot. It's weird, it's horrifying, it's oddly wholesome, and hauntingly human. So how did this series fare in a world of smiling friends and Tim Robinson supremacy? Well, there's only one way to find out, and 3 questions that must be asked. What worked, what failed, what Tuskegee Airman bomber jacket thefts will be curtailed? You always have more fun with a hot tub than when you have none. It's time to review Season 1. The main cast of this series is honestly something for the books, and it makes my life so much easier. The story focuses around 3 boys, Preston the oldest, Tristan the middle, and Duncan the youngest, and their dad, Tom Campbell, all played by Joe Kappa. And I genuinely thought Tom was someone else, but nope. That's Joe all the way down, and he does an absolutely fantastic job of adding just enough nuance to each of the boys' performance to make them stand out. And yet, still manages to make Tom so distinct and such an old dad character in the best way. It sings, gang. The comedy sings. The episode opens with the family having a good old family movie night watching some Stargate Avatar, but when there's a kissing scene, Tom goes to bed and the boys just worry about him. Because he hasn't been the same since their beloved mom passed away. I don't know who that was. That's not the boys. It's some sort of weird, Napoleon Dynamite character. Anyway, the boys are working on their mom's prize she shed when they go to talk with their neighbor and recurring guest, Jeanette Lee. Jeanette Lee being a world-ranked gold medal winning pool player nicknamed the Black Widow. And she plays that in the show, and that's just her in real life, and it's delightful. I really do appreciate that they always have her outside playing pool, which is not covered, nothing at all. She's just knocking the balls in creative ways with special guests, always outside. And it's such a small touch, but it bugs me in the best way, and I love it. Deborah Wilson, June Squibb, Dax Flame, and Isabella Blake Thomas would also star in the series. The boys are determined to show their dad his favorite movie, which is some kind of Down Periscope parody, but of course he hits a moment that he's gotta leave because the guy is professing his love for his wife's melons, and the boys are absolutely distraught. They decide to show him the scariest movie they could find, The Terror Within, which it's an odd name for something, considering there's actually a horror movie named The Terror Within that has nothing to do with this actual movie. It's like this sci-fi gargoyle film about zombies and whatnot. It's wild. Has nothing to do with this. This is like The Village mixes with The Babadook in this weird monster kind of way. Preston, in an attempt to keep his dad awake, decides to lace his ice cream with pre-workout protein powder with extra caffeine in it, and he starts getting absolutely amped. Preston comes clean about spiking Tom's ice cream, and Duncan admits that he killed their mom's precious petunias. They all make up and have a water gun fight and play in the pool. But as the credits start to roll, you see something in that she shed. A handprint on the inside of the glass of the window. The ghost of their mother still lingering around them. For a first episode, this does everything it needs to do. It establishes a benchmark, a place where you can take the series in any kind of direction and come back to this episode and remind yourself who these boys are and why they care about everyone so dang much. This is a perfect intro because there's no inherently wild elements to it. You may not even notice the handprint, and it doesn't impact the series if you do or don't. It adds to it if you do, but you are not getting a payoff that you wouldn't have otherwise got without it. Because if we boil down the pilot to its core elements, it's just a family grieving the loss of their mom and trying to help their dad heal through it. That's it. That's the whole premise. No quick sci-fi adventures, no trying to help Mike Stuklasa realize the importance of life. Preston works at not Costco. Like, these are real people. It's very, very simple, and the jokes sneak in when you don't expect them to. Movie night is a Wami Tuk Tuk forbidding 8 out of 10. A weatherman absolutely gets loose and starts grooving after giving a forecast and starts trending, so the boys think it'd be a great idea for their dad, another weatherman, to totally get in on this sweet action and go viral. I will say, I love how the animation is both very static, and that's celebrated. You have all these like really pronounced, exaggerated faces, but then you also have this green screening, where the movement is so fluid out of nowhere. Where Smiling Friends experiments with a lot of different animation styles, it's really just the two in Ha Ha You Clowns, which makes it that much more unsettling, especially when they have those weird, oddly detailed elements to the character designs. Tom has absolutely no interest in doing a dance on TV, but the boys just keep pushing because they think it'll be a great idea for him. I'll say this, a lot of people have compared this to Joe Pera Talks With You, and how wholesome Joe Pera is. I'm not sure I completely agree. Joe Pera Talks With You has Joe Pera. He's compassionate, tries to be understanding of everyone, and enjoys the simple delights of life. The episode where he found Baba O'Reilly for the first time is a treasure. When he talks you back to sleep after a bad thunderstorm wakes you both up, magic. Absolute magic. But Joe lives in the real world. People aren't going to always be kind and understanding, and sometimes, yeah, you get characters like his neighbor that pull you out of that simple, wholesome fantasy you got wrapped up in. Ha Ha You Clowns is, for good or bad, human. The boys mean well. They want their dad to do well, but they're also mouth-breathing meatheads that have flaws. These are the guys that would push you past your PB at the gym and cheer when you did it with high fives all around. But they'll also push you past your PB at the gym right after you have hernia surgery because they believe in you so dang much. Sure enough, Tom tries to do a dance at the station and absolutely fails and embarrasses himself. The boys' girlfriends offer to help Tom learn how to dance, and he gets super flustered super quick and falls onto the boombox while thrashing around. Preston sends the girls home when a bad storm rolls in, and you really start to see that different shade to Preston, that shift in his personality, where he's just a little bit more mean and doesn't understand why they would put that boombox so close to him, and the beat was too fast. You didn't understand. You've got to understand what you're doing. Preston's a character. They're all characters. They are so fleshed out, even outside of episodes that focus on them, Tristan probably being the weakest of the three. Which, in a way, makes sense for him as a middle child. And if you laugh at a joke that, say, Preston, Tristan, or Duncan say, you're not laughing at that joke. That joke itself isn't what you're laughing at. You are laughing at the stupidity or the wholesomeness of the brothers. You are laughing at the brothers or laughing alongside them, but you are not laughing at the joke they said, because the series' jokes come more from what you're watching. They come more from the visual cues, because it's weird, it's contorted, but it's funny. Tom leaning his head back all the way to check his phone is classic. My mom does that. It's perfect. The people at the studio just looking and acting so weird, perfect. And then when a tornado touches down, Tom calls his boys to make sure they get to safety, and they make up over the phone while live, bonding over their mom being the real dancer. And sure enough, they go viral for that very touching family moment. They're flawed, but they're family. And things just always seem to work out in the end for them. Viral is a storm shelter seeking, hustle doing, 9 out of 10. Ooh, the cracks are starting to show, gang. As the family are absolutely tearing into some sizzling fajita plates at the legendary Casa Baja, they're so lost in their antics that Preston leaves his precious Tuskegee Airman bomber jacket behind. Preston begins to spiral, pun intended, and everyone goes back to find out the jacket isn't there. He doesn't know what to do. And so Preston starts lashing out at everyone at home and work because he doesn't know who he is without his precious Tuskegee Airman bomber jacket. Had Joe Pera lost something, he wouldn't take it out on other people. Now, granted, Preston is much, much younger. He is flawed. He has been shown to be kind of stupid sometimes. And as we find out later, naturally, the jacket was given to him by his mom. So it is a heartfelt memento to him. There are layers to these characters, including showcasing, but not celebrating, their flaws. This episode really starts bringing everything together. We get these darker elements creeping in, but also just how dumb and off Preston can be sometimes. But that's the point. When he has a nightmare while driving about flying, he has a black co-pilot since he's a Tuskegee Airman. Which historically makes sense, except Preston would never be a Tuskegee Airman because he's very, very white. What soundtrack is he listening to get his head level again? Oh, the classic American Sniper. For lack of a better term, again, yeah, these brothers are meatheads. They're not thinking deeper about what they're doing. They are surface level. But they love it. They love their families. They love their girlfriends. They love who they are. But they are very basic in a great way. Like, you know these boys. You've met them before. I've met them before. They're the guys that'll bring you a solo cup of water the day after they made you do a keg stand at a frat party. They're so perfectly fleshed out. And huge kudos to Joe Kappa bringing them to life absolutely brilliantly. This is intentional, top to bottom. We've seen his other work. This is something he is trying for, and this is succeeding. Preston is always pushing people because he thinks he's a natural-born leader. He takes command as an oldest child. But also, imagine you're minding your own business as a waitress, and the guy that yelled at you about his bomber jacket comes in and hands you a book about the Tuskegee Airmen with a brochure about going back to school. It can be both a sweet and annoying gesture at the same time, and those moments shine brilliantly. This was the episode that sold me on the whole premise of the show. This was what made it really feel real. Even just like the twin cops and the fact that we never saw the person that stole it. It wasn't someone that was in the restaurant when we initially went into the restaurant. It's not hinted at. It's just some guy stole it and two cops returned it talking about, oh, what good boys you are. It's just, the episode it's perfect. It is a formula perfect episode. Not even the best episode of the season. Bomber Jacket is a lost and found theft thwarting, fajita sizzle singing 10 out of 10. Tom has a fear of flying and the family is flying on vacation to tropical Cancun because of course they go to Cancun. They are ball and gun gamers. They are legitimately people that would say that Avatar is one of their favorite movies of all time. Go ahead. Look me dead in the eye and tell me that you love Avatar, that the Avatar universe is your favorite thing. I dare you. I dare you to lie to yourself like that. One of the things that keeps showing up throughout the series is I love when the family's eyes go red. Because, it's supposed to be like, oh, they're about to cry, they're about to have a deep family moment. It looks like they are just stoned out of their gourds. It's the best in the dumbest possible way. We also get the flight attendant who is sorta, more the straight man that has to interact with him. Not the antagonist, the straight man. So Preston takes the lead and lets the flight attendant know about Duncan's debilitating nut allergy, and they start to frustrate the flight attendant with their antics because they can't stay still, they can't leave everyone alone, they've got to make announcements and be weird, all while the flight attendant is trying to calm Tom down about the fear of flying. It's just... The whole episode is so real and simple and human. Even when you compare it to, say, Universal Basic Guy's plane episode, which was probably the best episode of that entire first season, and so far the best episode of the show, it's just the family on a plane. There's no Grim Reaper gutters or Appalachian mud squids. There's just the family trying to calm their dad, who is watching just the most freakish interpretation of Will Ferrell's Elf. I mean, just how everyone looks is horrifying in a hysterical way. Again, how these visuals are set up is so funny, and you can't look away from the show ever, because if you miss one, you might miss one of the funniest parts of the whole show. Like, even the in-flight safety video is so normal, it's perfect. It hits all the notes like, whoa, don't lose your beach ball, kids, and remember, inflate your safety vest. Perfect. Charming. Delightful. But of course, any episode needs true conflict, and we run into the absolute emergency that Duncan's ears aren't popping, and the giant man-child guy is thrashing in his seat from the uncomfortable sensation. So the family have to spring into action to help his ears pop. You have Tom rustling around in the overhead and being told he can't, but he's got to save his son from his ears not popping by getting him some gum. Like, when they're on the ground, they're all in robes and setting up a massage because poor Duncan is still so stiff from the horrific ordeal that was his ears struggling to pop. What? Like, actually, what even is this episode? And yet, it's probably my favorite episode of the season. It's so dumb. It is so dumb, so human, and yet so funny and works on so many levels. 4 episodes in, that heartfelt father-son bonding is starting to get a bit excessive, but in a good way. Like, you're anticipating the heartfelt, da-da-da-da, you know, sons, I haven't been the same since Mom left, but I love you all so much. You're waiting for it. And you're waiting for how it doesn't necessarily return to normal, but that bonding moment happens. It's a parody without being over the head. It's never parodying the love they all share, unlike Family Guy, which starts to warp that love more and more. I really love that there hasn't been some wild antagonist for the boys to face yet. Even back in Bomber Jacket, again, we never saw the criminal. It doesn't matter. It wasn't anyone that we would know or get. They were just part of the problem prolonging itself. And the flight attendant isn't even a bad guy. He sees one of the brothers in the shop and decides to go up and apologize to the family with a gift basket, making sure that they're allergy-free for Duncan, and then they all go and get a massage together because the attendant is so proud of how Tom raised those boys and hopes he can be as good of a dad too. It's just... Plane is a strong and loved 10 out of 10. When the boys go to the dentist, they find out their usual dental hygienist Valerie went into labor, so they just leave the appointment to visit her in the hospital to her and her husband's understandable surprise. They're making fun of the brand new Jeff, complimenting the kids' latching skills, asking about the potential switch to formula, and they are all in on being involved in this new life experience that, again, is their dental hygienists. That's who they are. They will always involve themselves. They will always make these stories about them. The baby is portrayed absolutely horrifying, and it's very wrinkly, which I appreciate, because it adds to that extra, like, weird cringe to it, like, the almost, not revolting, but, like, revile, like, ooh, that doesn't look right, but it works, because it's so twisted, it's funny. The characters are all so twisted, they're funny. And then Duncan is handed this weird, wrinkly baby and starts to panic about it. The boys then insist on throwing a baby welcoming party, which I didn't even know was a thing, but it's happening. We even get a special guest in Gomez Adams' adopted son, Sean Astin, look it up, it's wild, helping Duncan with some life advice about being nervous around a baby. Duncan then proceeds to go to the attic and tries to use a baby doll to practice holding a baby, and proceeds to try and nipple feed it. It's a very odd episode. And even that whole dream sequence with Sean and Jeanette is so weird and trippy, almost like a Xavier Renegade Angel kind of way, but it still hits so good. I love these trippy dream sequences. Duncan passes out, Jeff saves the baby, and even though they've been mocking Jeff this entire time, he's the first one to go and try and calm Duncan down. He talks about his tours in the military and how he's seen friends lose limbs and was still, even after all that, afraid of dad life, just to have Duncan's brothers take his hat and throw it out in the hallway and send him out while mocking him again, because that's who they are. Poor Jeff just having his entire life upended by these boys and yet still trying to be happy, still being chipper. No one, expressly hates that the boys involve themselves yet. And I kind of love and hate it at the same time. I love that the boys have created themselves as these chaotic, generous people, while also being kind of the worst to people. They take Duncan back down and they all enjoy the baby welcoming party. Again, a very odd episode, but you still have that bond between the family. And so long as you do what they think is right for you to do, they'll always have your back. Even this bonding moment shows Preston and Tristan love Duncan because he was the baby that they held. You can justify why they would want to involve themselves after their mom has passed with a new baby being born. We don't know when the mom passed. We don't know how long ago that's been. And not knowing kind of adds a splendor to it. I don't know. The longer it goes on without answers, the stronger the episode as a whole will feel. Duncan Holds a Baby is a Canadian tax credit celebrating 7 out of 10. The boys throw a surprise party for their dad for his birthday and invite the old fraternity over to share stories and have a great time with the man, the myth, the birthday Hulk. I often talk about episodes that shows were made for, and this is absolutely one of them. Everyone is celebrating Tom and his legendary party antics, but he gets more and more uncomfortable throughout the night about it, all until Brewski reveals that when Tom would Hulk out, he'd throw Brewski like a bullet with a helmet on, and one time he chucked him and made him fall on top of a Chinese exchange student, and no one had heard from him since. And I love that Brewski is portrayed as just this small, angry, drunk man who just keeps mocking the boys for trying to learn more and more about their dad and the fraternity he went to. He's angry and lashing out, and so of course, he gets drunk and passes out on their couch. The boys take care of him, and while they're sending everyone else home with goodie bags for coming to their dad's big birthday bash, they send Brewski home with one too the next morning. Then, Tom tells the boys that he apologized to that exchange student and that they still talk and exchange letters to this very day. He shows that he can make amends for who he was, and it made him want to be better. He took personal accountability for a horrible action that he still regrets to this day, even though he talks with this person. They didn't need to add that element. And it's so extreme, the idea of him throwing another man on top of another guy, that it's not just a parody of other sitcoms, it's so absurd it works for this world. I also adore that the Chinese dad also has 3 really great sons, and it's just, I don't know, it tickles me pink. What do you want from me? Want to fight about it? But the boys took the time to make personalized letters for all of Tom's old friends, and even gave one to Brewski, a man that mocked them all night. And they give him something that convinces him to go to AA and address his drinking problem. Tom's friends even tell the boys that Tom meeting the boy's mom was the best thing that ever happened and helped calm him down. This isn't necessarily a needed episode. You could make a season without something like this, but it's an episode that perfects this narrative. We know who the whole family is now. Tom is always afraid of letting loose and falling back into his old party ways. There's a forced control to him. I can absolutely see this being the reason people call the show inherently wholesome. It's a genuinely sweet episode that encourages growth and change. The only person that mocks Tom for changing admits that he needs to change by the end of the episode. The boys are a genuinely positive influence here, and everyone is better for going to a party that they organized by themselves to celebrate their old man. The jokes are again in the movement and the faces, the reactions, the contortions. It's not the words said, usually. The boys have their flaws, but loving their dad is never one of them. It's just such a good, heartfelt episode that really makes the series as a whole sing. Dad's Birthday is a goodie bag receiving 10 out of 10. If there was ever a made-for-Adult Swim episode of the series, this would be it. The boys are performing at the old folks' home, and it's honestly one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Of course they perform at the retirement home their grandma is at. Of course it's bad karaoke, and of course they get the people to sing along. When they hold the mic up to the old guy, and he gives that one line, I've watched this episode 3 times now, and it still gets me to wheeze, because it's so odd in a delightful way. It's like when they're feeding the little girl back and Duncan holds a baby like she's some kind of animal, just eating the animal cracker out of their hand like they're at a petting zoo. It's surreal and odd. It hits the eye wrong, but it works so well. I keep coming back to it. It's so dumb, but it's dumb in a way you would expect an Adult Swim series to be dumb. It makes sense. It has found the formula that it needs to stick to. The boys are talking with their grandma after the show, and Tom talks about selling her house, which the boys then insist that they're getting her party hot tub that she shared with the legend himself, Sammy Davis Jr. They promise that they'll totally clean it up and take care of it, swearsies, and then they start partying and fooling around and totally forget to clean the tub before soaking in it and having a wonderful time. Sure enough, they wake up sick the next day and absolutely start hacking up a lung. They try to perform and struggle to get through it, and so at the end of the show, as they're absolutely miserable, what do? They get back in the tub for a nightmare hellscape dream sequence. I mean, it is wild. Their grandma's hugging bones. It's trippy and grim, and it pulls you out of this fantasy you've been in. Because like even Duncan holds a baby, you think, oh, well, that's a one-off thing. And then this keeps going. It's so much all at once. And then before you know it, they're waking up in the hospital realizing their mistake. The boys are dumb. That's part of their charm. But they're really, really dumb. And this episode, if you're just marathoning through, rips you out of the comfort you have and shakes you just to make sure you're awake. Remember when they threw their dad a birthday party and was all sweet and innocent and skulls, hot tub of blood, old people, fears, scares, death, It's just, there's so much going on. And yet there's nothing going on. And yet it's a hot tub that Tom is understandably getting rid of because the boys can't handle the responsibility of a hot tub. Which, like, it's a lot, sure, I get it, but also, bare minimum they had to do. And it's so delightful. This is the obligatory horror episode of the show, just like a certain Royal Crackers had, make sure to check out Maul. It's really good. Or the Giant Mutated Chicken episode, one with Fred Armisen. Yeah, that one's good too. A lot of bangers. You're already on HBO Max, it's right there. 2 seasons of greatness. Naruto's in there. I don't know what you're saying. Hey, did you know Royal Crackers has 2 really solid seasons? Well worth your time. Just saying. Me, just a guy. Anyway, hot tub is a curly fry bathing. 7 out of 10. Calling it now, gang. This is my least favorite episode of the season. It's here, I guess. The boys are playing their favorite shooter with their boy Darshan when they meet a new super gamer, Brienne, who is so good at games, because she's on disability and doesn't have anything else to do with her day. Which makes sense, but she's a true gaming threat. But also a woman that they could totally have go on a date with their lonely dad. They also keep mentioning the ghost of their mom, which is so odd to me. It's like they know, but they don't. Like, they're just making a joke like, oh, must have heard the ghost of mom. But we know there's something there. We feel something's there. And maybe it's her just looking after the boys. Maybe there's something more sinister. I like the mystery. I like not knowing. But this episode doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to it. Brienne comes over and is just lashing out and blowing up over anything and everything, even mocking Darshan and Weatherman. Eventually, her husband comes to pick her up and apologizes for her behavior since she's just like that, you know? She just kind of does that stuff. You know how it is, right? Not a big problem or anything. That's probably the most smiling Friends resolution to an episode I could ever see. It doesn't feel like a haha you clowns conclusion. It just feels like how they wrap up some sort of like, oh, I finally got to smile. Thanks, guys. You know, really just sort of feel that way sometimes. You get it though, right? You get it? You get how they can just sometimes do that? It never quite passes that. It's very simple and odd. The Darshan stuff is great, and I love that the boys love their online bud even if he's lagging out and causing them issues. Again, the boys aren't bad people. They just don't have the awareness. They mean well. But this, much like Dad's birthday, shows that there's people out there that just sow chaos. Here, much like Brewski, we have an active antagonist for the boys, even though Brienne started as their friend. They don't tolerate people mocking their dad or bullying people, which I like. They are gold-hearted golden retriever guys that use protein powder and enjoy Avatar Stargate. I can't be mad at that. It fits a very certain trope of people, but it's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with Avatar. It's a high-grossing movie. But again, tell me it's your favorite movie. I dare you. The episode just isn't awkward enough to be funny and isn't funny enough to be all that remarkable. The conclusion just sort of fizzles out and floats around, and it lacks that extra touch to really be special. Call to the Battalion is a peace sign showing 5 out of 10. It's the Thanksgiving holiday and the boys are in therapy to help deal with the loss of their mom. Their therapist lets them know they'll be out of town for Thanksgiving, and so she sends them to a totally rad therapist that can absolutely help these boys on the holiday. This is when we get Justin, played by Justin Theroux, who has been in a ton of stuff, but he's also Mr. House in Fallout Season 2. R.I.P. Rene Aubergenois. You're odoing in the sky now. Anyway, Justin is palling around with the boys and passing the football around, trying to get them to badmouth their dad. How their dad has ruined their dreams or brought them down recently. How they mock them. Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? He's fishing. While the boys eventually do say that, yeah, Dad sometimes uses the wrong cheese when he makes their grilled cheese, but they love the heck out of him. He's just such a fun guy. Justin knowing he can get to the bottom of things. To get these boys to be honest with their hearts. When the boys get home, they notice that they're being followed by the therapist on social media. He's posting all kinds of weird templates and memes, and I gotta say, all the memes he sends in the conversations with them, or the things he has in his posts, the different filters and everything, really elevates the character. It makes this whole world that much more realized. He becomes that much more not necessarily relatable, but understandable. You get this person. You know who this person is. Of course he uses his business as his personal social media. Of course he posts the way he does. Of course he posts thirst traps. He is this perfectly realized idea in a 12-minute show, and that needs to be celebrated. You know and detest and understand Justin in record speed. Even when the boys are at the grocery store, he's watching them. He's shadowing them, looking for any flaws that he can exploit and sending it in the group chat, just overwhelming the boys. And what do? How do they combat this? They invite Justin to dinner. And when Tom burns the bird, he has to make a non-traditional meatloaf instead. The boys could hate what the dad did. They could hate that Tom ruined Thanksgiving. But when they see that turkey-shaped loaf, they understand. They console him. They love him because he did his best. They let Justin try the first bite, and it heals something in him. He gets to taste something that brings it all together, that helps him heal. The boys know their dad isn't perfect, but they know he's perfect at loving them, and that's good enough. And Tom loves his boys. And that good vibe, that healthy energy helps Justin. It brings him closer. It helps him walk away from this night a better person. The boys are a force for good. They're dumb, they're a lot, but they're not inherently evil. And Justin isn't inherently evil either. He's an antagonist, absolutely, but the boys help fix and heal those around them. They don't beat him through combat. They don't beat him through any other elements. They don't fight. They heal. They help. They work to make people happy and live their best lives. This is a fantastic episode, and it's beautiful. Top to bottom, it's not what you would ever expect. Therapy is a turkey-shaped loaf enjoying 10 out of 10. And here we are, the season finale. Tristan is doing improv. It's the whole thing. While Tristan's doing improv, he puts one between the eyes of Stop Satan during a game of Yes and has to be saved by his instructor and gets a delightful imaginary dye job. Tristan is determined to get into the main cast and starts trying to teach his bros how to do the ancient art of improv. I love that Todd Rod's book of improv is like this ancient tome full of these complicated texts, and it's just literally, take a selfie, oh my god, use wacky voices. But it's like they're awakening to the dark arts. You even have Jeanette warning them of falling into improv, just like her beloved friend, now rival and enemy, Wayne Brady. It's very trippy and odd, and I kind of honestly expect this setup from something like Gravity Falls, but it works. We've had several Preston episodes, we've had a Duncan episode, but we've never really focused on Tristan. And why would we? Tristan's the middle child. Now he's throwing himself under the spotlight. He's desperate to get noticed. He is going deeper and deeper into improv to try and awaken something at his imaginary core. And as he and his brothers are all, trying to have a great time, he starts getting more and more pushy about it, trying to set up the perfect joke so that he can have the perfect improv, so that he can excel at something. He's sweating and stressing, and when they're at putt-putt golf, he's trying to get everybody to laugh, and then Preston saves it all so effortlessly after he starts to spiral. He walks in and he gets everyone cracking up. His older brother saves the day and steals the spotlight again. He starts to panic, he starts to whirl, and that's when he swings a putter right into Preston's skull and runs off. He starts to fear he's been transformed into a vampire, that he's steadily losing control as he gets into a cop car and gets on a boat and jumps off the boat and goes into the water and a guy dies in front of him. It's a lot. We keep going deeper and deeper until he's getting his hair done in a salon by his mom, played by Todd Rod, his improv coach, and it all circles back to the start of the episode with a version of Tristan trapped in the mirror. You know, pretty much as soon as the putter hits Preston, that this is all in Tristan's head. None of it really feels that real. It would be a drastic shift if they took this and ran with it. If they took this and said, this is reality now. Sure, you don't know which Tristan is in the mirror. You don't know if that's his imagination. You don't know if that's his original self before he gave up and gave in to the demon ghost of improv. And that wonder, that mystery, much like the ghost of their mom, makes this an outstanding season finale. It circles back. It doesn't have to. It's an outstanding way to go out of a season, and honestly, I hope we don't get a resolution to what's been in this episode. I hope it continues to linger for seasons more. And it's great that Tristan gets the spotlight front and center for the season finale. That he becomes the focus. He's been sort of on the sidelines this entire time, and now he gets one of the most creative episodes of the entire show, and I'm here for it. It's just, it's great. Improv is a yes and supplying 10 out of 10. And there we have it. That's season 1. Anything you think I was right on? Wrong on? What was your favorite episode? Least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, subscribe, hype, and tell your friends we're out here. Haha You Clowns has already been renewed for seasons 2 and 3 at the time of recording, and shows that this has been an incredible year for Adult Swim content overall. Between this, a new season of Smiling Friends, and of course common side effects, the Adult Swim roster has been looking mighty strong. Would be stronger for the season 3 of Royal Crackers, but hey, can't all be winners. Haha You Clowns is weird, it's dumb, it's wholesome and haunting. It checks every box and celebrates the weirdness of the human condition. I've talked about meta comedy before, but this is a new age form of meta. This is a whole other beast compared to something like Tim and Eric or I Think You Should Leave. The joke is the ordinary. The joke is how weird we as normal humans really are. The joke is the lack of out there jokes. Tom's reaction still sealed the deal in the whole show for me. So long as I get more Tom, I'm good. I mean, front to back, top to bottom, this is some absolutely fantastic holiday streaming after a walk in the woods with the cousins. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here at the Lecture Hall. And if you want to support the channel, consider joining our membership or Patreon programs today. $2 a month gets your name on this fancy list of champions. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a happy holidays, and remember that you matter. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be feeling that usual holiday joy this season. Take time for yourself. Give yourself some grace. And know that I'm proud of you, even if you just woke up today. A rising tide lifts all ships, and I can feel one hell of a wave a-coming. Goodbye, everybody, and I'll see you all next time when there's plenty to do in Season 2.